Hot Wheels was doing with opening parts for tires in like really nice detail.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about that a bit.
All right, cool.
Are you recording already?
Yeah.
I'm not even ready yet.
No, you're not.
Not even moved on. Got my headphones on. Just sat down.
Get right into it.
Having cleared my throat.
Moved to episode 124. Fiat 124 of Auto Off Topic.
Yay.
We're getting there.
Getting there to what? The end?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, yeah. Who knows?
Every day passes another day closer to the end.
We should
Welcome to the
think of
Nihilist
something.
Podcast.
Yeah, we should think of something, though, for 200.
We failed miserably at 100. So.
Yeah, I would really like to make 200 something special. So.
Well, let's make it there first. We're only at 120.
Well, I want to start planning it now. Because that's like,
good plan.
A year away. Maybe. Year and a half. Depends. If we get our butts in gear and we can do 2 a week, come a lot quicker.
Probably not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So, for now, coming at you once a week. Auto Off Topic Podcast. Let's get right into Project Car updates.
Updates, down dates, and updates again?
Yeah.
Up and down dates?
Yeah.
What have we worked on? Have we worked on anything other than the one car?
No, just the one car.
I'll let you introduce it because I don't want to say the name that you've come up with it for.
I haven't come up with a name. A friend of the podcast, Jordan, named it Barney. Barney the Purple Conquest. Kind of fits. It's a Barney.
It's not purple, though.
It's purple.
It's not purple. It's Durban Maroon, I'll have you know.
Durban Maroon. Okay, sure.
D-U-R, Durban.
What's special about that color?
It's maroon. It's a one-year only color, and
Okay.
it's Conquest only. So no Starions were painted Durban Maroon, and no cars outside of 1988 were painted Durban Maroon.
Was that a color available on other Chrysler products?
Stumped. I don't know.
It looks like the same color that my grandmother's Chrysler New Yorker was.
I feel like that car was darker, like more purple, if you will.
This thing's purple.
It's not purple.
It's purple.
The only people who have said that it's purple are you and Jordan.
Purple or maroon.
Maroon is not purple. It's definitely...
What?
Maroon is a dark red.
Okay, sure.
Purple is red and blue.
Whatever.
Maroon is red with black.
If you asked a kid what color the car was,
He would say maroon.
What color
or red.
Is it on the title? Is it red?
I don't know. I didn't look.
Or maroon?
Durban Maroon was available on...
Yeah. Well, we're waiting.
Well, I found it, but it doesn't say what it was available on. It says Chrysler product, but
okay.
Doesn't mean that it's...
So it was, you say it's a 1 year only color, one car only color, but I feel like the production numbers for Conquest were already higher than Starions anyways.
I feel that the production numbers probably weren't, but the cars sold in the States is probably higher numbers of Chrysler sold, simply due to the fact that there was already an established network of dealers.
Right. So that was 89 was the last year for Starions?
Yep.
So this is an 88, so second last year,
Mhm.
but they're basically identical?
88 and 89 are like the pentultimate Starion conquests.
Okay.
They have the improved fuel injection, the improved ECUs, the improved rear diffs.
And this car has, like, fully loaded.
This car has everything. Heated mirrors, sunroof, limited slip. It's everything except for SHP, which is the super handling package.
Yeah.
Which was adjustable shocks and wider wheels.
They were square setup wheels?
Nope. So, standard ESI Starions and TSI Conquests came with 8-inch rears and 7-inch fronts. SHP cars came with 9-inch rears and 8-inch fronts. But the 8-inch front was not the same as the 8-inch rear from the regular car. They had different offset.
What? Yeah, because it had to stay within the same flares.
Yeah, and clear the brakes.
What horsepower did these things put out when they're new?
180? You hit me with all these questions now, and I'm not...
You, I thought, were a Starion Conquest expert because you had like 5 of these cars.
I know a lot about them. I don't know... all of the things, I guess.
This one is an intercooled car because it's a late car.
Yep.
It obviously is manual because occasionally you'll see an automatic one, but they're mostly all manuals.
There's a lot of autos out there.
Is there?
Yeah, when you're looking to buy them, you find almost nothing but,
Huh.
which is super frustrating, obviously.
Yeah, because the transmission's actually pretty good for the most part.
Right.
Oh yeah, this has the improved transmission pan, doesn't it? Or the better transmission?
Yeah, it's got a lot more like bracing in it.
Hmm.
So when they came out, they had 145 horse,
Non-intercooled.
not intercooled
Yeah.
exactly.
Big old 2.6 4-cylinder.
Yep, same motor in the Raider and the Sapporo.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have the numbers here.
man, no good.
Awful.
This one's got a matching purple maroon interior with the turbo seatbelts.
Yep, maroon turbo seat belts. They say turbo, turbo, turbo down them.
Yep.
For some reason, somebody in the life of this car swapped in 87 and down seats. I don't know why,
How do you know that?
because they're different style. 88 and 89 had a more bolstered seat with an open headrest,
Huh.
like a square open headrest, like a 80s Volkswagen style
Huh.
or Recaro style. And then the 87 down had the seats that are in the car that have the integrated headrest into
Mhm.
the seat, and they're less bolstered, which is what's in the car. So it has a correct matching color, but 87 and down seat in it.
All right, now you've owned. This is your fourth one,
Fifth,
fifth.
two reds, champagne, the white, and now the maroon.
All right. Now what do you think of the steering in them?
They were only 155 horse.
Really? At the end of the run?
Yeah,
Really?
that's what it looks like.
I figured they'd be a little higher than that.
It was the 80s.
Wow. So then in '89, Eclipse came out and was 195. It's pretty wild.
I'm finding conflicting information, so I'm just not going to say anything anymore. Because now I'm looking at, I see one here that says 180.
I feel
So,
like that would be more. That makes more sense.
yeah, I think it does too.
Wouldn't be more than 200, but I bet it's between 180 and 200.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And so, what do you think of the steering in these things?
The steering?
Yeah, because it's got
It's
reciprocating
recirculating
ball.
ball. Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not new sports car sharp, but it's the. I guess I'd call it the, like, ultimate version of recirculating ball steering. So it's tuned up pretty well. I mean, they handle it very well. They're very well planted. They're very good high-speed cornering cars. They're very good.
Yeah.
They're not nimble because they're kind of porky. They're not lightweight little Miatas, but they're a good handling car. They're very planted cars. Having had both narrow cars and wide cars, I think we talked about this before. The narrow car is more playful, simply because it has skinnier tires and a narrower track.
Yeah.
But I mean, the wide cars are fun. They handle well. They're predictable. Like I said, they're very stable on like a long sweeping off ramp turn.
Mm-hmm.
They're enjoyable to drive. A lot of guys now swap in steering racks from other cars.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not a direct bolt-in swap. I think there is somebody out there engineering a kit currently to do like a 240SX, like bolt-in style swap. I've heard rumors and grumblings of, but nothing confirmed. But a lot of guys do that swap with the 240SX steering rack. I've never had an issue with it. One of the reasons people do change it though is because the center drag link hasn't been made in years, and there aren't any left. So if it wears out, you need a new one.
Shouldn't wear out though,
Shouldn't wear out, no.
because it's got ball joints pressed into it, so
Yeah,
it shouldn't.
you can repair them, but you can't buy a new one. So it's banned, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not replaceable.
Well, if you bent that, it runs under the oil pan. You've got some
Yeah, you get
serious
some
problems.
issues. Yeah, but no, I mean they're. I don't know what has always drawn me to them. They were just the car I always wanted in high school, and I keep chasing the right one. Which
They're pretty cool looking.
I mean, the wide body cars are very cool looking.
I like narrow bodies too, though.
I prefer the narrow body because I like the weirder, rarer things. But in high school, what I wanted obviously was the wide body car. That
Mhm.
was like I was in high school in the mid '90s, and they were less than 10 years old.
I think they mostly came in red.
I think the majority of them were sold in red. Yeah, I don't know production numbers of that
I've
either.
seen it. I like them in silver.
Hmm
They have a
They're
couple
rare. They're
nice
rare.
blues. I like them in yellow. It's a car that yellow works well on.
I've never seen a yellow five-speed car.
Really?
I've only seen yellow automatics. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying I've never seen one. So I am possibly going to be looking for an interior for this car.
Yeah.
Just if anybody has any leads, if any for sale, or knows of any, depending on how everything goes with the mechanics of the car, which we obviously have to get into with our project car updates. The interior is pretty roached. So the car is very solid. It's a Southern car, but because it's a Southern car, the interior is not great. It's
Mm-hmm.
very brittle. A lot of the plastics are cracked and broken. Leather is torn. Seats don't technically match. But also because it's a Durban maroon car, I can get away with a maroon interior, a tan interior, a black interior, a gray interior. It doesn't matter. So all available options will look good with that color.
Hmm.
So we'll see what happens. But I may be looking for an interior soon because that's the biggest letdown to the car. Like the paint's not great, but I can live with that. The interior needs to be replaced.
Yeah, the front bumper was cut and channeled strangely.
Yeah, I have to wonder if there was plans to run a giant front mount intercooler in the car at one point. Because what I found out about the car so far, that I was told, I had no confirmation, is that the car has Weisco pistons and Crauer rods, and it's got a 19C turbo, which I guess is a stock inlet side and a modified exhaust side, or a
Mm-hmm.
larger exhaust side.
Mm-hmm.
It has a wideband O2 sensor, and there's an empty hole in the dashboard where it looks like at one point there was probably a wideband gauge.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Yeah, it looks like it had an AEM in there.
Yeah. It had. It's got an HKS super sequential blow off valve,
Yeah.
which I have to see if that's proper for the car or how to plumb it if it's proper for the car, or if I should be changing that to something else. And
Hard pipes. Hard
yeah, these
intercooler
cars
pipes.
from the factory have rubber intercooler pipes or plastic intercooler pipes, which are known for collapsing, and they have bends in them that are not free flowing.
Mm-hmm.
And this car has hard pipes, so replaced with hard metal pipes. So that's cool. So it's got a bunch of cool parts. It had a weird clutch in it, which we'll get into with our project car updates. But it was a center force like 8 puck, which I don't really understand.
It's a hybrid,
It was a dual mass, like
not dual mass, dual friction.
dual friction, excuse me. 8 puck on one side. I don't know. It's weird. I don't understand why it was in the car.
Yeah, I'll get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do we have to do to it? I think we talked about it. It got pulled off the trailer.
We talked about it being stuck on the trailer. We thought we needed a clutch and service cylinder, a clutch master and service cylinder, so we did that.
Which I wasn't sure of, but I was like, well, they're right there. They're pretty easy
It's
to
a good
change.
place to start.
Let's start there.
Yeah, exactly.
And even if it didn't need them, it took an hour and a half, and now you have new hydraulics.
Yep.
Not a big deal.
So the
And they were
symptoms,
super cheap.
yeah, it was $63 for both parts together.
Yeah.
The symptoms of that were the pedal was just falling to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
There was no clutch pedal, so I assumed a hydraulic issue. Obviously, we went through all the work, changed everything out, tried to bleed it, still couldn't get the pedal to work. It would just fall to the floor. So something else was amiss. But before we get to that, we also had a braking issue. The car had no brakes.
Yeah.
Well, the car had brakes on the trailer, and as we were rolling it off the trailer, a brake line burst,
Yeah, as it does.
as one does. Yes. So we put it up in the air, found out what brake line had let go. It was a junction block in the back of the car that goes over to the passenger side rear wheel.
Auto Off Topic, the braking podcast.
Yeah, unfortunately. Which there'll be more project car updates on the brakes in this car because the calipers are all kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So I might just go through it and buy new calipers, rotors, and pads all around just to make it nice. So we'll see. Let's make it move first.
Mm-hmm.
So we at least now have brakes that function well enough to move the car around. So it was a little hairy trying to move the car and not having any forward motion, reverse motion, or once you got it in motion, a way to stop it because it also the e-brake is disconnected. So this car sounds like an absolute piece, doesn't it?
But because I had to take something else off, the console is out,
Okay.
so you can just lift up the auto seatbelt thing, unbolt it, the
Mm-hmm.
reels,
Mm-hmm.
and you can access the connection for the e-brake
E-brakes.
cables.
Yeah, so we'll do that before we put it back together.
Yeah.
Actually, that console,
That's not going back in because
the
it fell apart.
console is shattered.
Yeah.
So it was very brittle. Southern sun destroyed, I guess. Actually, when I got it, the console itself was already broken.
Yeah.
Like the driver's side of the center console where you
Yeah.
put things was broken off of
Yeah.
it. So I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. And then I needed to get it off. And then for some reason, unlike later Mitsubishis, these have hidden screws
Okay.
that you can't get to for some reason. I don't know how.
So if I was there, I could have showed you where everything is because I've taken Starry and Center consoles apart like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So, but whatever, not a big deal. I'm replacing all the parts anyway, so I don't care. Stuff was already kind of broken, so
Yeah.
we'll just let it
That's what I
slide.
figured.
Yeah, everything's getting replaced. Also, the maroon interior is the least desirable, so nobody would have wanted it anyway. So
I think it's cool.
I enjoy it. I like it. I have no problem with it. But
I would love a silver on maroon. I think that's a cool car.
that's a common combination with the silver.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so it doesn't matter because I'll get whatever color I can get a complete interior for.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody somewhere will have a smashed up one and be selling the interior out of it. So clutch problems.
Oh, yeah.
What do we discover? How do we discover it?
Well, it wouldn't bleed, and the clutch
Well,
fork.
no, it would bleed.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
it
we
wouldn't
thought it
get a
wouldn't bleed
pedal
at
back,
first, and
yeah.
then we're like, no, it's definitely bled. And then we're looking at the clutch fork, and my dad was there looking at it too. He's like, that doesn't seem like it has a lot of tension on it. I'm like, no, it doesn't seem to.
Hmm.
So we pulled the inspection plate, and there's pieces of clutch material underneath the flywheel sticking out.
Like big chunks of friction material.
Like, cool. So clutch fell apart.
Yeah.
Or at this point, maybe it's seized on the transmission shaft.
Hopefully
Like,
not.
I
Fingers
don't
crossed.
know why would that happen? Why would that happen? So,
Why would the clutch fall apart is a question too, because again, I drove this car onto the trailer.
yeah.
Which is what floors me more than anything else.
So, whatever. Pulled the transmission out because it's not a big deal on this rear-wheel drive car.
No, it's pretty simple actually, and there's not even like center bearing in the drive shaft because there's a big torque tube on the backside of the transmission.
Yeah, the drive shaft's wicked short.
Yep.
It's not automatic transmissions. There's no lines to undo.
Yeah, and it's pretty light.
Yeah. So, I had to get in, undo the console, get the shifter off, pull the transmission. It came right off the clutch, so I was like, well, it's not seized on there.
Right.
Cool. Looking at the input shaft of the transmission, it looked good.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple pieces in there. Clutch looked normal-ish. It's a center force dual mass.
Mm-hmm.
I looked it up. It's like a $400 clutch. I was
Yeah,
like,
it's an expensive part.
why did this thing fail?
It's funny because looking at the stuff on this car, people spent the money on this car at some point in its life.
Somebody balanced the clutch to the flywheel because it was match marked
Okay.
and painted.
So, like I said, somebody put some time and effort into this car when it was
Yeah.
put together. So, and again, you got to remember now, I bought the car under the impression that it made a bottom end noise.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get back to that in a minute too.
Yeah. So I pulled the pressure plate off, and one side of the clutch disc on these, it's a dual friction, is a street style disc, like a
Yep.
normal
Solid,
OEM clutch.
normal complete clutch. Yep.
And the opposite side, they put a pucks on. And I don't know what the exact advantage is of having it's so you get like a little more drivability than having just a solid puck clutch,
Mm-hmm.
which that totally blows to drive on the street with a puck clutch.
Right.
But new technology with street discs, like they hold really well. Like you don't need that anymore.
Also, we're not talking about a 500 horsepower car here.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
If anything, a stock clutch would probably just if the boost was turned up more than stock, like a stock clutch would probably just about make it. Like,
With the mods that are on the car.
yeah,
I don't see why it wouldn't. And if it doesn't, it's not hard to pull the transmission out later.
no,
There are plenty of options. There are tons and tons of different options I saw when I was looking to order a clutch for it. So
but I mean, if this car is making 12 psi, stock clutch is probably fine.
these cars make like 8 factory.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you're running 20 or something, then yeah, I could see that. If you were over 300 horsepower,
It'd be fun.
yeah, but this car is not making that.
I mean, if the mods that are in the car are really in the car, and it can be tuned properly, that turbo is good for about that. So maybe a
Huh.
little less.
Well, we'll see. So I pulled the pressure plate off, and naturally I was trying to hold the clutch, but it fell because I didn't have the alignment tool. Whatever. I knew we weren't going to reuse it because there was already clutch material, but I was worried that it like chewed up the flywheel and it like ruined it. And really, just what happened, all of the pucks fell off the disc.
And I'm pretty sure that most of them fell off on the trailer on the way back from the Cape.
Yeah, it's the strangest thing
Yeah.
because they weren't riveted to the clutch disc. They
No,
were
they were
like
like bonded
yeah, they
on. Yeah.
bonded on, probably like a brake pad, and then somehow they fell off.
The car sat for a long time.
But the flywheel did not have any rust on it,
Right. I'm just thinking,
and no signs of like rust being knocked off of it.
no, it's pretty clean.
Like a lot of times, stock clutches will have rust on them.
hmm
No, this did not.
This whole car doesn't have much rust on it. It's pretty nice.
So I mean, there's enough. It doesn't seem like it when you're looking at it, but that tiny 4 millimeters of clutch material is enough
To not
to move the
to move the
clutch
fork
fork
in too
a
far.
lot further
Yeah.
out and push it against the slave cylinder.
Right. So there's not enough movement to make the pedal work.
Yeah. So that, and then we're like, cool. So I had that out Sunday afternoon, and then you had ordered the clutch, so you came over Tuesday night,
Yeah, clutch came in Tuesday from
and we're
Amazon.
like, sweet, let's put it in. This will be in like 2 hours, and we can see if the clutch works,
Right.
and maybe we'll get the car started the same night. And no,
Nope.
what happened there?
Wrong clutch.
Of course.
So I went onto Rock Auto, as one does, to order parts for older cars because they stock everything. And I went to 1988 Chrysler Conquest, and it gave me two options. So I was already suspicious
Yeah.
because it gave me an option for intercooler or non-intercooler. Now there was no non-intercooled car in '88,
Right.
so I don't understand why that would be an option. So naturally, I picked the one for the intercooled car. It's too small.
Like way too small.
Well, yeah, like an inch and a half too small in overall diameter. So, unfortunately, we couldn't get the clutch in that night. So, I went back on Rock Auto, and instead of looking it up as a Chrysler Conquest, I looked it up as an '88 Mitsubishi Starion,
Yep.
and had completely different information.
Yep.
Which doesn't make any sense because the only parts that are different are the emblems and the taillights.
Yes.
Everything's the same.
Yes.
So I don't understand what happened there. Um, anyway, I found the correct clutch and I tried to order it, and nobody had one that I could get before like end of next week.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
So I said, "This is ridiculous," and I waited till today, and actually called all the local parts houses,
Mm-hmm.
and I managed to find one that I'll have tomorrow. So
Cool.
good on that. So I found a Vallejo clutch, which is supposedly the right one for an '88 intercooled car.
Mm-hmm.
When I ordered it, they didn't ask me if it was intercooled or not, so that's a positive.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it works. If not, I'll be quite angry again. So
Yep.
I still have to return the other clutch, but it is what it is.
And we tried to see if a Galant 4 clutch would fit, but it was
Yeah,
too
we
big.
wanted to know if maybe the disc was the same or not, but
Yeah.
it's almost 4 inches bigger, which was surprising.
Yeah, somehow. But
Yeah,
then we thought about the 4G63 is a wider block than a G54B, so
yeah.
that makes
So,
sense now.
however, I did have the new U joint.
Yep.
Because I had one bad U joint, so we put a new U joint in the drive shaft.
Yep.
So that's good. One less thing to do.
Oh, and then we were like, all right, well, we might as well get the pilot bearing out while we're here.
Oh yeah, Andrew's pilot bearing experiment.
All right, so you go on the internet and like, there's always like little interesting, weird tricks that they have for like mechanic stuff,
hmm
and people are like, you can use bread to take a pilot bearing out.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that seems like an interesting trick. Let's try it. So I guess we didn't do it exactly right.
Okay.
You need a bolt that fits the pilot bearing like really tight
Okay. Yes, so there's no way for the bread to grease back out around whatever
Yeah.
you're punching in
because
there.
it gets pretty dense once you start. So you hammer, or you don't hammer, you feed bread into the pilot bearing hole.
Conquest hungry.
Yeah. And then you tap it and it pushes the bread out,
Yep.
and with it, the pilot bearing
It creates enough force behind the pilot bearing if you have a big enough bolt inserted in the middle of the pilot bearing
for it to not escape around it.
to push the pilot
I
bearing
guess
out
it's very
backwards.
useful if the pilot bearing is pushed
Yeah,
into
we didn't.
cranks, but I don't know what cars is like that.
Older stuff is like that.
I thought they're always in the flywheel.
No, older stuff is there in the end of the crank. Um, yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't really necessary because there's only 6 bolts holding the crank on, so you just zip them
I
off.
mean, if you didn't have any way to get them off, if you're using hand tools, they're really hard to get off
Right, but also if you
because
didn't
you
have
have
any
to.
way to get them off, you probably aren't doing a transmission in the car.
Well, you might not have any power tools.
True.
You're holding them. You'd have to hold the crank, counter hold it.
Had to have 2 people going on it. Yeah.
So that's like, sometimes videos for work, people comment like, "I don't understand why you don't use any power tools." It's like, well, we're trying to show you how to do it without
With
power
common
tools. Yeah,
tools that
common
people will
tools.
have.
Not everybody has power tools,
Yeah.
and we don't want people to get discouraged and be like, "I don't have power tools. I can't do this."
Although I will say, having used power tools, if I don't have them at my disposal, I definitely get discouraged.
Yes, but sometimes you don't have them, so you have to
Do what you got to do.
go without them.
Yep.
Sometimes if you're not careful with them, they break stuff.
Hmm.
So it's there's reasons for not using them all the time.
Sometimes there's reasons to not use
But
them, but in this case, there was not.
yeah, I am in love with the new electric
Impact.
impacts
Yeah.
or just electric power tools now.
Yep. Because battery technology is so good now. It
So
doesn't
good.
matter.
And you don't have to have the hose
Yep.
for the air compressor hanging
It's freedom.
around and it doesn't kick on and make a bunch of noise.
Hmm.
So I've got I probably talked about this last year. It was like Christmas time. It was
Hmm.
on sale, or the year before, but in 2017 was a Ryobi 20-volt half-inch cordless impact.
Yep.
With like 300 foot-pounds of torque.
Hmm.
So yeah, those zip those right off.
I have the Milwaukee one with the same spec.
Yeah,
So it's also pretty good.
it's pretty.
I
Damn
just never
sweet.
get to use it because Andrew always brings his.
Yeah. And then the same 19 millimeter socket, impact socket, fit
The backside of the
backside of
flywheel.
the flywheel, and I just popped right out.
Yep. It came out in like maybe a minute.
Yeah,
Tops.
It wasn't a
And
big
most
deal.
of that minute was spent finding the power tools.
And then I had to dig out a bunch of bread that was jammed into the crank.
Yeah, it was pretty gross. The squirrels ate well last night in your yard, though, once you threw it all in the yard.
Yeah, and then died of all the grease that was in it.
Nah, they're fine, the squirrels. They've eaten worse.
It was moldy bread.
Also fine for squirrels.
Yeah. So
Everything squirrels eat is moldy because they store it for an entire 6 months at a time.
Oh, then we had the starter out, and my dad took it down to the local parts store and had it tested during the day, so it was all set.
He did that because the car was cranking real slow.
Yeah, and he didn't want us to put it back together and then have a bad
Have it be
starter.
junk. Yeah,
So, a la the Raider.
right. But I think that the car was cranking real slow because the battery was really dead, and possibly because there was friction material jammed inside the against
Yeah.
the flywheel and the
And it needs new battery terminal ends.
yeah.
Those
So
have
we'll do all that.
they have a
when
lot
we
of
put it
resistance to them, so yeah, we're gonna replace those. Fresh-ish battery.
together. I'll buy a brand new battery. For
All
it.
right.
Yeah. I don't have anything lying around that's gonna work, so I'll just buy a new one.
Yeah.
No big deal.
And then, ideally, it should move after that. We can try to knock the calipers free
Fingers crossed. It'll definitely move with the calipers even the way they are.
because we're able to push it.
We were able to pull it with the Raider and then push it a few feet back and forth
Mhm.
by manpower. So, and we don't have a lot of manpower, so
Yeah.
we made it work. So it's getting there, but bread trick didn't work very well for us. Maybe
No.
because we didn't do it right.
Some people say it works. Those
If you need to
people
do
are
it,
not
you need
us.
to do it. Some people, however, also told us that grease works better.
So everybody said
pack it
grease.
with grease.
Which I wouldn't.
I mean, I think that would squeeze out easier, but
To me, it doesn't seem that grease is as dense as bread. But I'm being told otherwise. So
and we'll have to have a contest where one of us eats grease and one of us eats bread and
Yeah.
see who gets full first.
yeah, totally. I don't know anything else with that car.
I don't think so. I think that's all we've done for now.
All right, so I bought OEM fuel lines, clamps, and intake gaskets for the Subaru to fix the fuel leak because the intake has to come off. Super cool. Because it's been cold and it stinks like fuel whenever I try to
Whenever
start
it's
it.
cold. Yep.
But the intercooler has to come off and the intake tube has to come off. So I bought. Um, they're like knockoffs. I mean, really like there's the Perrin stuff or the Cobb stuff. It's
Yep.
crazy expensive, and it's just silicone tube. And you look at it, you're like, really, silicone tube? And then there was for a while it was the Mishimoto, which I refused to use because it was so difficult to fit in Jordan's car, and the quality was not very good.
Right. I remember fighting with that in Jordan's car.
So for like a quarter of the price, there's this random company. It's probably made in the same factory,
Just not branded.
just not branded. It was like an intake tube was $50, silicone,
Mm-hmm.
and the other tubes were $50.
Okay.
Like the two, it's like a Y pipe that comes off the intercooler, and then the little coupler to go to the throttle body, and then the little crossover tube to hook to the blow off valve.
I wouldn't say we're recommending buying knockoff parts on a regular basis, but in this particular case, we actually had trouble with the name brand parts. So we're like, screw it, let's try something that's cheaper and see if it works at
When you
least the
look at
same.
how stuff's made, it's like there's a certain time when you pay for quality stuff, but especially if it's stuff you know is being made in the USA, like the adventure driven design stuff or the Spliceworks shackles that we've talked about recently, but like these intake tubes are probably all made overseas,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked to be the same quality as like I've gotten HPS stuff. So I've already been running these hoses, the same company, the radiator hoses we replaced that were leaking on the Subaru, same company.
Mm-hmm.
So far so good. They fit perfectly. So I figured we'd go for it. Um, I mean, it's like it came with all the right hose clamps.
It was a complete kit. So let's see how it works.
Yep. I mean, I'll be careful taking off the old stuff just in case, as careful as I can be if it doesn't tear.
Right.
But I wanted to have all the stuff on hand. So if it does tear, the OEM stuff, I can be replaced. But might as well put the new stuff in. And I think I'll take. These are like screw clamps that tighten up. I'm going to take a little drop of blue Loctite. So once they're tight, they don't vibrate and back out.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's
Also,
really.
you'll put the clamps in. You'll
I'll
have
put them in a position so that I could reach them
right
and retighten them.
because right now the part you had tightened on the bottom, so you can't get
It's
to it.
upside down.
Yep.
Because when it went down the assembly line, it was facing up when whoever assembled it and then got put on the engine.
More than likely.
Yeah. So that's a super bummer. But that's about all I have for that.
We'll have more ones to do the work.
Yeah, as soon as old Barney's out of the garage there, we're gonna work on that.
Should be already.
And
Actually, I ordered brakes for the Sapporo as well
yep. All right, cool.
because that car's going to Austin.
Yeah,
Although we're not going to talk Radwood right now because people get angry at us.
yeah.
Radwood, Radwood, Radwood.
No, we're good.
Take your free content and deal with it.
No, there'll be plenty of talk about that later. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
we're gonna go to listener questions.
Yes, we did ask listener questions tonight.
My mom had one on Facebook. That was the only one I had on Facebook.
The main page had a bunch.
The main page had a bunch.
Yeah,
I did not see it.
yeah.
Well-
there's 9.
Oh, all right. So, well, I get my mom's one here. So Sandra Pascarella, and she asks, "What is the Tom Brady of cars?" And I take that as meaning the greatest of all time, which is like
It's hard to say the greatest of all time.
super hard to answer.
However, I think that we should dial that back a little bit
Okay.
because the majority of our listener base is not in Tom Brady country.
Don't care.
So when we say the greatest of all time, we
He is the
mean-
greatest of all time. That's without a doubt.
Let's not turn this into a sports ball podcast because we don't know enough and we're gonna
Well,
get everything
we'll just
wrong.
crank up all the volumes. We'll just yell at each other.
Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
the Brady era is unstoppable.
Okay.
Sorry, I peaked everybody's speakers.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Good job.
Well, yeah, you told me to do it. That's all your fault.
I
I
said
don't know
we
the
could do it.
I don't know what the greatest of all time is. The internet has always told us that Miata is always the answer because it's such a great
might
all-around
be.
car.
It might actually be.
Yeah, it's such a great all-around car. It does everything you want it to do. It
They
does
sold
it well.
a bunch. It was
Ev-
well built.
Every now and again, it fails.
Yeah.
Like a Tom Brady. Every now and again, he makes mistakes. He's only human. This car is only a Mazda, so I think that would be the. I don't know.
I'm not even
Yeah.
sure. Can the guy drive a car? That'd be kind of weird if he couldn't.
Oh, I mean, he can. Remember he had an accident a couple years ago in like
Oh, he did?
Cambridge in the Audi.
No.
He drives Audis.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he crashed his A8 into somebody at a stoplight. It was big news when it
Oh,
happened. So I mean, maybe he can't drive a car.
maybe he can't. That'd be pretty funny.
It's hard for him to accelerate and brake wearing his Uggs. See, we can make fun of him too.
Hey, whatever.
But anyway,
He's the greatest of all time, kid.
yeah. Well, sports, Super Bowl.
No, nobody cares.
Well, we care a little bit right now because next Sunday, obviously, is the annual Patriots Super Bowl game.
Sure.
I mean, that happens every year. So
Yeah.
we just lost 70% of our
I
listeners.
don't care.
Sorry.
I don't care about football.
Go Pats, kid.
Yeah.
All right, going to the Facebook page.
All right.
Are you there now? Do you see the questions?
No. Because I was ready to go to Instagram. So
Okay.
take it away.
So we'll start with Facebook. The first post actually isn't a question. TJ just says, I just wanted to share the Mawfuggin Rare Main Seal tool. And literally it's just a giant hole saw
Oh,
that says Mawfuggin Rear Main Seal tool on it. So that's pretty funny. Juliet Jake. At what temperature do you guys decide a repair can be put off? I discovered today that my water pump is leaking today, but the wind chill is negative 21, so I'm calling it good for now. I only have access to a garage on weekends.
yeah, I agree, man. That's like dangerous.
That's too cold. At what temperature do I decide it's too cold? Anything under 45 is too cold to work outside.
Yeah.
We've become prima donnas because we have access to a heated garage. So, yeah. I actually paid somebody to put belts on my car the other day because I had to get it done, and it was like 11 degrees out, and I didn't have access to the heated garage at that moment in time. So I begrudgingly paid somebody to put belts in my car,
Yeah.
and then I went to start it the next morning, and they squeaked like crazy because I didn't do it myself. So that was frustrating. So I had to go back and make them fix it again because since I did pay them to fix it, I certainly wasn't going to go in there and fix their issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's all fixed now. So yeah, I'd say anything under 40 degrees is where I don't do well outside, which is pretty much why I'm moving to Arizona.
Yep. All right.
Jason Hamill says, "Where did you get that sticker, and how can we get them?" I assume he's talking about the sticker on the picture,
Yes.
which is the Dead Reliable skeleton beard sticker
Mhm.
that came from our friends at the Average Squad.
Yep.
Which is at averagesquad.com.
I believe so. Just Google Average Squad. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. And actually on our page, Andy Carter, who is a member of the Average Squad, replied with the link. It's averagesquad.bigcartel.com.
Right, and they do have averagesquad.com as well, so
Yep.
you can get there either way.
They have a bunch of funny stickers.
They do. They have some really good
They have a
ones.
bunch of stickers that I wish we came up with.
Yeah.
But since we didn't and I like them, you should go buy stickers.
We'll
from them.
promote them. Also, they're really nice guys. I've
Yeah.
met a bunch of them at different places around the country.
We met them down in Atlanta. You met them in a couple of them in LA, or you talked to them.
Yeah, we chatted on the phone. We never actually got together, so that stinks.
But we did meet Gary in Atlanta. So I think the sticker is actually supposed to be Gary.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Joe Davis, new tool? Question mark. Not till later this year though. Does he mean the band?
He does, yes. But
Oh.
it's because is bread a suitable car repair tool, or what's your favorite new tool? But Joe Davis' favorite band of all time is Tool.
Oh,
So-
that's news to me. They're coming out with a new Tool album.
I mean, they've been saying that for the past few years, I'm pretty sure. So,
Okay.
well, believe it when we see it, I guess.
All right.
Jason Hopkins, regarding the tool comment, anything is a suitable tool if it does the job.
Fair enough.
Favorite tool I have right now, my trusty Stanley 99E utility knife. Has a nice heft and is dead nut simple. Stays in my pocket all the time at work, except in places where I can't take it. Yeah, a utility knife is a pretty useful thing to have on you.
I like the flip out ones.
Yeah, both of them work. I mean, neither one of them are going to open in your pocket, so.
No, I keep a flip out one. I've got an old Craftsman one I've had through like 4 jobs.
A utility blade one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like
Oh, yeah, those flip out too.
yeah, it's the red Craftsman and it's
Yep.
anodized aluminum and it's like worn down on the
Yours
edges
is mostly
now.
silver now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I've had that Stanley 99E as well, so it's a very simple, old school style, basically box cutter style.
Yeah,
tool.
because when you work in parts, you're just constantly putting
Opening
parts
parts,
away
yeah.
and opening boxes and cutting boxes down.
I find anytime you work in the automotive industry, you deal with a lot of cardboard.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a utility knife around.
Hmm.
So yeah, I agree with that. That's a good tool.
All right. Frank Eck. Do the models and scale cars really get you through the winter? It's winter here in Florida. Sunday was raining and 50. That would be nice. I
Yeah,
was out wheeling in the rain, soaked in 50 degrees freezing. Doesn't seem logical move south for a car guy.
it does. Hence why I'm moving to Arizona. Yeah, models and scale cars really have gotten me through the winter for the first 38 years of my life. So I, yeah, they do. Period. It gives me something to do. And in fact, I'm pretty sure when I moved to Arizona, when it's 120 degrees out, the
Yeah, you'll
scale
be whining
cars
about it, won't you?
will get me through those days. So I'm not worried about that. I'll still have scale cars no matter what. But yeah, they do. They keep me entertained, I guess.
I mean, I still would have been like, if I'd gone to the Rolex 24 over the weekend, I would have
You'd
been
have been in
hanging out there.
Florida
Yeah, I
in the
would have been.
rain.
It's still fun. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's
It's
the
relative. If you're used to cold, then like 50 doesn't seem that cold.
50 is like a heat wave. If we
Yeah.
had 50 right now, it'd be great. Our low tonight is I think 7,
Yeah.
so I would gladly take 50 and rainy.
No weather. All right.
Well, he asked a question about weather, so that's a listener's fault.
Okay.
Frank, stay tuned. I might be in your area in the next few weeks, so I'll give you a buzz.
All right. Cool. We asked my mom's question. For some reason, she messaged that to me.
At least you messaged it to the podcast.
Yeah,
I
that's
got it
okay.
too. It's all right.
Andy Carter. Why can't Toyota design their own sports cars anymore? I don't know. I don't know why they didn't do that. Because they're all about getting back to, like driving matters. Is
So
that them? No, that's Mazda.
no, but I'm gonna forget his name. The new head of Toyota is a car enthusiast.
Yeah.
Um, and in fact, one of the first things he did was he gave his engineering team the keys to his personal like 92 16 valve FX16 Corolla and said, "Make cars drive like this."
Yeah.
But I think that the current crop of cars that you're seeing coming out is left over from the former head of Toyota,
Yeah.
stuff that was already too far into
Yeah.
progress to be stopped.
I'm interested in the new Corolla hatchback with a
Yep.
manual.
Yep.
It's a decent looking car.
And supposedly, from what I've heard, it's a
And
very good driving car.
well, the 18, which is a different generation
Mm-hmm.
that I drove as a rental, was a very nice driving car.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple car. Like, I'd go for it.
Yeah, and the 19 is supposed to be even better.
Like that, I would consider as a daily commuter because I want really good fuel mileage, but I also want something that's fun to drive.
Entertaining, but economical.
I would consider one of those, and I like having the space of a hatch
Mm-hmm.
or a Mazda 3.
So I have to wonder if that's one of the cars that the new head of Toyota
Yeah.
came up with after giving his engineering team his FX16.
Yeah.
So
So that or a hatch Mazda 3 with a manual.
we do have your mom's question here, and she put a couple extra things here after it.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, so we screwed up her question already. Because she says, don't say the goat. What I mean is, it has to be one that's the most hated.
Oh.
So that means if it's the most hated, it's the new Supra.
No.
Everybody hates the new Supra.
No, the most hated car of all time is the Prius.
That's the most hated by car enthusiasts. Which I guess Supra probably the same. Yeah, Prius is good. Good answer.
Or hashtag TanCam.
Yeah, PT Cruiser.
PT Cruiser, actually.
PT Cruiser convertible to steal from our other
Oof.
podcast friends.
Oof.
Yeah,
Those are up there.
they're all up there. So I think we'll
Aztec.
say the Prius would be the Tom Brady, and the PT Cruiser will be what's his name from the Colts.
Peyton Manning.
There you go. It's
Colt?
Peyton Manning. Yeah.
Dodge Colt.
No. Colts are the greatest cars of all time. Colts are the goats.
All right. Anyway. Gillette Jake. Pros and cons of old cars in the winter. Ideally a 77 Caprice, and the only thing I wish for is a remote start.
Well, Juliet Jake, I'll say the biggest con of an old car in the winter
Yeah.
is that your water pump is leaking and you can't fix it because it's winter time.
Although, if it's the 77 Caprice, it's not too bad
No,
to do.
it's not bad to do, but he mentioned in his other question that he didn't want to do his water pump because
Yeah.
it was negative 21.
I hope the heat
wind chill.
works if it's leaking.
As long as there's enough coolant in it, it probably
Yeah.
should. And hopefully it's just a water pump and not like a heater core. So,
Well, it's pretty easy to determine that if it's at the front of the engine.
pros to driving an old car in the winter, it's fun.
Yeah. If it's like an old beater, you can bounce it off of
and
snowbanks.
not care too much?
Yeah, you can rip donuts, parking lots,
Yep.
all kinds of fun stuff like that.
Cons to driving in it:
Cons, the salt.
starting it in the cold.
Yeah, starting in the cold. Yeah, if you're in an area that uses salt, it will eventually disintegrate.
Yep.
If it breaks, it's difficult to fix because it's rusty. Um, it might not have a great heater. That's a big problem. It's got to have a good heater.
I have never had an old car with a bad heater though. Like I literally in the Raider, I have to turn it down
Yeah,
because it gets hot in there, real hot.
yeah.
So I have not had that problem.
Strangely, the Montero heater is not great.
It's because it's so used to driving around in Arizona.
Probably.
Actually, have you ever flushed out the heater core on that?
It eventually gets hot, but it takes a while.
Yeah, maybe the heater core just needs to be cleaned. Or like a flush kit through it could have some blockages in it from not being
Probably.
used a lot.
Probably.
Yeah. But yeah, the biggest con is damage to the car. Other drivers, if your older car gets hit by another driver in a snowstorm or icy roads,
That's the thing. It'll pretty much be totaled.
it'll be totaled. Or if it's not totaled, it's hard to find parts.
Yeah.
So yeah, the preservation of the car. I would never drive a car that had never seen winter that was old in the winter,
Yeah.
but I don't have much problem driving a car that already has some rust in the wintertime.
If it was bought new here in New England and driven year round
Yeah,
since new
just undercoat
and
it.
somehow managed to survive till now,
Yeah, just
then just keep
undercoat it and
driving it.
use it. But take care of it. Undercoat it, clean it,
Yeah.
make sure it doesn't get worse. But
Which is the theory behind my Subaru, which doesn't seem like an old car, but that's 15 years old.
yeah, it is.
Um, yeah, that's just trying to stave off, stem the rust cancer as long as possible.
Yep. So also, I like your 77 Caprice because they're big and dumb and awesome. And the 77 still has the cool individual taillights.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jeremy's got a very hard question for us
It
to
is a
answer
very
here.
hard question.
Do you believe there are different levels of gearheads? If so, how would you describe these levels? And can you give famous examples of each level? Ouch.
Different levels of gearheads, huh?
I don't think there's different levels of gearheads
Is there different
as
types
a rule.
or
I
different?
think if you're into cars, you're into cars.
Okay.
There are different types of gearheads. There's the gearhead that wrenches, the gearhead that talks, and the gearhead that drives. Rarely is there a combination of all three. What I mean by that is, I don't know what I mean by that. Some people like working on cars. Some people like driving cars. Some people like reading about them and talking about them. I mean, there's
I can see that.
yeah. I
Yeah, I can see that.
some people will pretend gearheads. They're into it for the I don't know. They drive a cool car because they think it makes them cool,
I guess.
and then
Yeah.
they get real into that one submodel, and they think that like the world revolves around them because they have that car. It's kind of like the Harley Davidson effect of cars.
Okay.
Like the guy that rides a Harley. Maybe not every guy that rides a Harley, but you think of the stereotypical guy who rides a Harley, wears all Harley gear, always talks about his Harley. You show up next to him on your Japanese bike, and he's like, "Poo, poo, you. Your Japanese bike. You're a terrible human being."
He said his motorcycle license for 6 months.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Rides to the bar, gets shit faced, crashes his Harley.
I guess there might be different levels of gearheads. I'm gonna have a different opinion here.
This is a hard question to answer, and we're actually like working it out in our heads live over the air here, so it's hard to
Well, that's
say.
fine. That's I would say yeah. You've got like entry level. Like person who got their first, just got their license. Maybe they've been to reading car magazines, but now they have their first car. But suddenly, that dream world when you're younger of like, I'm gonna have like a newish car when I'm older, like, enough to drive.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna
like,
get my license, and I'm gonna have a Porsche.
yeah, like that doesn't happen, um, unless you're like incredibly lucky. So you usually end up with an old beater, and you're like, well, I'm gonna fix
Drive
this
my
thing.
1985 Cutlass
Yeah, and I'm gonna
with
drive
pride.
the crap out of it because it's my car finally, and I can
Hmm.
drive it around. And maybe you start to learn to fix it. So I guess that's like an entry level person. And then as you progress, you've made a little bit more money, you get more confident in fixing stuff. Maybe you take on a project car, or you buy a slightly nicer car, and it's got more performance to it. So, and then you kind of learn more, and you're going to like, it might be like a specific mark, I guess. Well, it definitely has to be a specific mark if you buy a car, right? But you might pick a car either because it has a community or you find the community for it, and then you get really into it there, and you're kind of like mid-level, I guess, and you're like learning about the car and all the things about the car, and you hang out with people that have the same car, and you're doing
I'm
all the
just
same
seeing that
mods.
meme in my head that shows like the blue background with the outline of the guy with the brain. It's like entry level car guy
Yeah,
has the one
maybe,
car, and then finally get down to the last one. It's just like owns one of every model, every type, knows every stat of every car. It's exploding brain.
maybe that. But and then I think maybe as you get older, you might branch out into different cars. You learn more about fixing cars. You have more money. You're more stable. You can have a place to store your burgeoning car collection if you're into that,
Yeah.
and then you just end up collecting more cars. So
You said a couple things there though that contradict themselves.
what's that?
You said that as you get older, you have more money and you're more stable, and you have room to put your cars
Yeah,
and collect your cars.
yeah.
But if as you're getting older, you're collecting more cars and buying more cars,
Well,
you're not stable and you don't have any money.
there's a difference between hoarding cars and collecting them and curating them.
Would you consider me a hoarder or a curator? Or am I
Uh,
a hybrid of the two?
you kind of hoard stuff a little bit.
You think so?
For a while, you did. You don't need to have all the Colts.
I only have three.
Yeah, right now.
Not all the Colts. There's at least four in the world.
Um, yeah, I think if you follow you're like a different
I'm
case.
a different breed.
Yeah, if you follow like a pretty average trajectory.
So you have, not going back to that meme of the brain with the blue background, you have the three things, then you have the brain exploding in the back. That's just Brad. He's
Well,
ridiculous. He's a crazy person.
I started out with one car, and then eventually I
See,
had two cars,
here's my problem.
and now I have three cars.
I've never had one car.
Yeah,
Ever.
and now I only have four cars, but I have a place to keep two of them inside, and the other two can live outside because they're not as nice.
My father is crazier than I am when it comes to cars.
Yeah,
So that's where I learned it from. Um,
learned it from you, Dad.
100%. But because of that, when I got my license, I already had three cars.
Okay, already had a bad start.
Right, so I was off to a bad start. I had my Camaro, which I still have, my 85 Cutlass, and I had that 84 GMC Caballero.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah, so which
I just made a
Andrew hates
face,
truck cars. Yes,
it's like somebody ripped a fart
he
face.
took a sip of his bourbon
Ooh.
and he went, "Whoa."
Ooh.
So yeah, I've never had one. I've never had one car. So I mean,
All right, so famous examples of
weird
each.
weird flex, but that's okay.
Um, Getting back to the question, Jay Leno is like
Penta ultimate car guy.
top, right?
Yep.
Has everything, knows everything about them.
Yep. Followed closely by like Tim Allen.
Really? I don't know what his collection's like.
Oh yeah, huge car collection.
Now, on the other side of it, wealthy car collections, you have Ralph Lauren.
Yep.
He's probably more,
He's more an investor than car guy, I think.
and then he's more curated than Jay Leno.
100%.
And then I would say
Jay Leno has a Ford Fiesta. Like
Yeah.
Ralph Lauren does not.
So then I would say like a Jerry Seinfeld is into
Marks
single
specific.
mark.
Yep.
So Porsche, and he's very into those and
Mhm.
knows a lot about Porsches.
And along the same lines of that, you have Adam Carolla, who's into Datsuns.
Yep. And then
And
collecting
Porsches.
like Newman specific
Yeah.
cars and memorabilia. So yeah, those would be like famous examples.
Then you have the bottom end of the barrel, where you have somebody who's famous because he thinks cars make him look cool, like a Richard Rawlings from Gas Monkey Garage. He doesn't strike me as a car guy. He strikes me as a guy who owned a car and saw dollar signs.
Yeah, I mean that's the outward persona.
Yeah. Well, anytime you see him not on his show or anything about his show, he's not driving old cars. He drives like a Dodge pickup truck.
It's probably because they give it to him for free.
Fine, but he doesn't drive old cars other than
Yeah.
when he's on the show.
Yeah.
So maybe he does. Who knows? But the persona you see because he's a famous person is of that.
And then I think there's a lot of like
Middle of the road.
The middle of the road guys that are like approachable and are very cool are like Matt Farah.
Yep.
Mike Musto is really cool.
Yep. These guys aren't famous though. Those guys are only famous in the realm of what we're in.
Exactly.
But
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, but there's still some famous people that are slightly into cars, that have interesting cars, that could have much more expensive, fancier cars. Like Conan O'Brien
Oh, okay.
has his 92 SHO that he still drives all the time.
Yep.
Another
Dax
one,
Shepard,
yep. Another one I've heard of,
Rutledge Wood.
Lady Gaga. Like daily drives like a '93 Ford Lightning
All right.
and like a '65 Lincoln Continental. Like
That's
she
cool.
could have Bentleys, you know what I mean? But she doesn't. She has like pretty mainstream cars, and like she's like a '68 Bronco and stuff like that. So
I think Matthew McConaughey is like that too.
possibly,
Yeah.
possibly. He probably has a lot of Lincolns now, I bet though.
Well, according to the commercial, he just always drove Lincolns.
Yeah,
I didn't drive them because they were cool. Or
yeah.
they're the thing to drive.
But there's a lot of famous car people who aren't like car people, but they're into cars.
Yeah.
Or well, who's the comedian with all the puppets?
The guy.
Jeff Dunham.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, he's not a very funny comedian, but he's a killer car collector.
Yeah. Well, somebody thinks he's funny, so he has enough money.
Right. But his car collection is way more respectable to me than his comic
Yeah.
performances, because he collects stuff like obscure, oddball stuff. Like he loves Gremlins.
Oh.
He has like the nicest Gremlins.
And then he could be like Guy Fieri with all his yellow cars.
Guy Fieri is just a mess as a human being. So
All right. I think that answers the question. Let's move on.
I don't think it does answer the question, but at the same time, I'm happy with the
I disagree.
response. Yeah. I don't think it answers the question, but I'm okay with the response. I think we have to go over to our Instagram page now.
All right. Checking it out. You get it?
Yep. Mike Samcan. What podcast do you guys listen to? So, as the podcast hosts, we're obviously expected to have a list of podcasts that we listen to.
I made myself a list, so I'll go first.
Go ahead.
And
Start with
the
car
notes.
related.
Yep. So I got my car related ones that I listen to on the regular would be Driving While Awesome, DWA.
Yep.
I like Clutch Kick and TST, Smoking Tire,
Of course.
and occasionally Hooniverse. I'm always looking to try new ones though, so I'm open to any suggestions of something I might like. So you can send us messages and we'll check them out. As far as comedy podcasts go, because sometimes I need to listen to stuff that is not about cars
Mhm.
just to get my brain off of it.
Oh, for
because
sure.
I also
Plus,
work
it also
with cars.
makes us well-rounded people.
Yeah. I really love, because I like movies, I really like Never Seen It, which is Kyle Ayers, I think, is the comedian, the host.
He is. Yep.
So he gets comedians and they take a movie that they've never seen before and they write a script for it. And then
Based on their limited knowledge they have.
yeah, like on the title and like maybe a Wikipedia page on the movie, and they are hilarious.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
And they do like the voice acting and stuff, and just like really cheesy like sound effects. It's so funny. And then I like Dumb People Town with the Sklar brothers
Mhm.
and what's the other comedian's name? Dan Van Kirk.
Dan Van Kirk.
And they usually have a special guest who's a comedian, and they run down just dumb news stories, just people doing dumb things, and they just rip on them, and they
Mhm.
just do riffs, and that's funny. And as far as like weird stuff, because I really like out there things,
Mm-hmm.
I love Astonishing Legends,
Mm-hmm.
and
I can't listen to that one. But
it's so good. You should listen to it.
I don't.
No, but they talk about it in like it's like a very down to earth way. They like examine stuff.
They very down to earth way of talking about Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all different things. UFOs.
Yeah.
They did one recently in the Bet Sphere,
Sphere. Yeah.
which is like insane story, and it's like really good storytelling. It's cool. I like it.
I don't have a commute anymore, so it's hard to keep up with even the few automotive ones.
See, I have an hour and a half commute,
Yeah.
so I burn through podcasts. Of course. Oh my God, I forgot car podcasts, the Gearhead Project.
Yeah, the most important one.
Yes.
I was gonna lambaste you for that one in a minute. When
I
came
listened
on
to
there,
three of them on the way home, and I
Yeah.
forgot, so just slipped my mind. And then Reply All,
That's a great one.
which it's just kind of like crazy tech stories related to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
I love Reply All. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and then I was really into Crime Town, and then like we're gonna put it on Spotify only. I'm like, well, I guess I'm not listening to that anymore.
Yep. Crime Down. Crime Down was good.
That was a bummer, but so that pretty much rounds it
All
out.
right. So my list.
Yep.
Um, all the same ones you said. Driving While Awesome. California based. A lot of Porsche content, but also a lot of sports car content in general. Mostly vintage car stuff. Clutch Kick Podcast. Mostly California based. Similar content.
Half in
Yeah, half
Ohio.
California, half Ohio. There's some motorcycle content on there as well, which I appreciate. Um, so, sorry to two of the hosts that make fun of the other guys who ride motorcycles on the show, but I enjoy the motorcycle content on
We've
their
also
show.
met all of them in person, and
Yes, we
they're
have. They're all good people. Same with the DWA guys. They're all
yep.
good people. We know them personally as well. Um, adding to the automotive ones, I was going to add Gearhead Project because somehow you forgot.
Yep.
Um,
Sorry, Ryan.
yeah, I also like Motor Cult. It's a Midwest-based podcast, which is an interesting perspective.
I listened to like one. I got to listen to some more.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right.
I enjoy those guys. As far as non-car stuff, well, car stuff as well. Car stuff, actually motorcycle stuff. I also listen to Motorcycles and Misfits,
Oh, okay.
which is a good one. It's a they call it the Recycle Garage. It's basically like a motorcycle mechanic co-op garage where people just hang out and help each other work on motorcycles all the time
Oh, that sounds like fun.
in California. Yeah, and there's usually it's like a round table discussion with like 5 to 10 people each week.
That sounds
It's
cool.
pretty entertaining. I like that one a lot. Let's see. There's some other ones on there that are friends of ours that we listen to, like Daily Brief Auto, and Gear Clash. We listen to those guys sometimes. Sorry, not as much as we should, but there's so many podcasts. Um, non-car stuff, along the same lines as you. Reply All. Um, Sometimes never seen it. I'm a big fan of My Brother and Me. I think it's very funny most of the time. I know that a lot of people don't like their voices, but I see that. Every Little Thing. Did you talk about that?
No, but I've listened to it with my wife. My wife really likes it.
What's that?
I don't seek it out. Every little thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I enjoy it. There's a lot of good stuff on that
Yeah.
one.
A lot of the stuff on the Gimlet network is really, really good.
Right. And season 1 of Crime Town is still available on Gimlet.
Season one is amazing.
It's one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to ever. It's
It
a
takes place right here in New England.
yeah, Rhode Island. It's a 20 episode season. They're all a half hour each, so it's 10 hours telling the story of the rise and fall of
Buddy Cianci.
Buddy Cianci, the mayor of
Yeah.
or excuse me, the yeah,
Mayor of Providence.
Mayor of Providence, yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be my main podcast listening stuff. I could go on and on and on, but there's so many of them. And that's
All right.
only question number 1.
All right, cool. We can skip that one. Car themed tattoos, yay or nay? What do you think? We're not tattoo guys.
I don't have any tattoos.
I don't have any. I'm afraid of needles. I don't know about you.
I prefer not to get needles in me.
Yeah.
I did at one point think if I ever was going to get a tattoo, it would be. See,
If you say a Mitsubishi 3 Diamond,
no,
I'd
that was not going
punch
to be.
you.
That was not going to be it. But what I thought the tattoo
okay.
would be something fairly large, because I wouldn't want just
Would
something
it
small.
be like Carb Life in Old English across your stomach?
No, because
And
then
like
people,
have a
because-
4-bell carburetor?
because then people would be like, "Oh, carb life on your stomach and you're fat. You must like bread," which is true, and pasta, but not what we're going for. No, but I always thought there'd be some kind of
Would
way.
it be like on your shoulder blades, like twin Colts, and like, but instead of Colt handguns, it's 2 Colts on your shoulder blades?
No, it would not be that.
Just think of what your prison tattoos would be.
So I was thinking of if I was going to do it,
Be
and
the oil drip on your eye.
you suck. It would be gasoline because carbs.
Yeah.
Somebody asked this question a long time ago to me before there was ever a podcast or anything. Like, you gotta design one tattoo for yourself. What would it be? So what I had was something that like started on my shoulder and went down my arm,
Okay.
and was like a quarter sleeve kind of thing,
Okay.
but could be added to as life went on.
Okay.
And it would be an intricate design.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of design it would be, but worked into the design would be like very subtly the emblem from each car I'd ever owned.
Okay.
And as life went on, I could add to it, but it wouldn't be like
I
obviously.
mean,
a
it'd be
car
easy.
tattoo.
It's mostly Colt emblems.
It's a bunch of Mitsubishi emblems integrated into the design. You wouldn't even know it was Mitsubishis anymore. But that was what I thought of. I mean, I'm not against car tattoos.
No, I'm not
I've
either.
seen a lot of terrible car tattoos.
but
not
I've
gonna
seen
lie,
some really
but I've seen
awesome
some cool
ones,
ones too. Like I have a few friends who are into like the um, traditional hot rod rockabilly style. So they have a lot of tattoos, and a couple of them have like a Rat Vink style like cartoon character driving the monster driving the hot rod, the big shifter coming out of it,
Hmm.
or they'll have like flames going up their arm, and then have like big V8 at the top of
Yeah,
it.
I've seen people with like pistons and spark plugs, and some of the stuff
Yeah,
looks really cool.
it's
I,
just
ju-
not my
I
style.
just I can't do it.
I'm not anti-tattoo in any
No,
way. If you want tattoos, you do you. I think they're cool looking. I've never pulled the trigger because also they're expensive for a car guy.
they're very expensive.
Um, and I like to spend all of my extra money on pieces of shit old cars.
Yeah,
So I don't have extra money for tattoos.
no, no, but no.
So yay, not nay, yay. It has to be a nice artwork. Obviously, as any tattoo has to be because you can easily get shitty tattoos of anything.
Yeah, don't pick it off the wall.
Right.
Yeah,
Make it mean something to you.
yeah,
Don't get like bow tie till I die or something like that. Just
yeah.
that would be bad.
All right.
First on race day. Not good. Incorporated X. Josh. When removing a pilot bearing, do you recommend white, wheat, or multigrain bread?
Alex Stadel adds Dutch Crunch, Yeti Overland, Why Not, and Everything Bagel. And Alex Stadel says health donut not need not
So I
apply.
assume a health donut is a bagel.
They're not really that healthy. They're
Right.
delicious.
But they call them a health donut because they're like healthier than a donut.
Barely.
We discussed this last night, and my suggestion was raisin bread because you have the extra density of raisins.
Yeah, I mean the stickiness. I didn't realize for some reason in my brain wheat and multigrain are the same, but they're
They're
not.
not. No. Wheat is wheat, which is one grain, and multigrain is multigrain, which is many grains.
I guess.
Yeah.
We just used moldy wheat bread.
Yes,
I
we
mean,
did.
maybe ciabatta, maybe some crusty French bread.
Ciabatta.
Um,
Well, the French bread, like a baguette, would be the way to go because you could just put it in
how about a challah?
long ways
A challah bread?
and just knock it in slowly till it's all the way in.
Or some like
I think we're gonna redo this experiment in the future if we ever have to do a clutch on something again, just
yeah.
because. Average Squad just gave us a kissy face for sharing their sticker. I assume that's why they gave us a kissy face, unless something you guys want to tell me.
Mm.
All right, cool. Alex Stadel that asked his own question: if you could build a rally car, would it be a Conquest, a VR4, or some other Mitsubishi? Lusty details are welcome.
I would love to find an old Conquest that was run in the SCCA.
Okay, there's a few out there.
That would be awesome.
I would skip that personally. I wouldn't skip it if I found it. I would definitely take it if I found it. But if I were to seek a car, I'm seeking
Of course, he
a.
asked about building a car. And we're like,
Well,
would you build a Conquest for it?
if I were to pick a rally car right now without even thinking about it, I would do a four-door first-gen Lancer
All right.
because I would build it up like a Safari rally car.
Okay.
So the four-door version of my Blue Colt.
All right. So today, if you were to build it from scratch, that would make sense.
Yep.
Because that's the other problem with doing a older two-door coupe
Mm-hmm.
is that with the modern cage that needs to go in the car,
It's real hard to get in.
it doesn't leave a lot of space inside the car. So I would go with
I would do a Colt, and I would do it in the same livery as the Africa rally cars and the Southern Cross Australian rally cars. So a white car, black hood, black trunk, and then the like angled stripe on the door that carries into the quarter and fender.
I would like a Evo 1 through 3.
Yeah, those are cool.
I'd build that into a rally car.
Yeah, those are cool. I want one of those for a street car, which will be hopefully my next big purchase.
All right. Yeti Overland. Today's my birthday.
Happy birthday!
No.
That's all when you
No.
get.
No.
No more than that.
Can you swoon me with your singing? No.
I did.
He tried to.
He got what he
I
wanted.
don't know. Are you swooned? Second question.
I'm swooned.
Is having 13 cars by your 32nd birthday too many cars?
I'm gonna.
I assume he has these now.
Say no.
He says 3 4Runners, 3 Tacomas, 3 Foresters, 2 Jeeps, 1 Range Rover, 1 GTI. I mean, he's on par to beat you.
No.
He beat you, right?
No, I have 14 cars.
Oh, try harder.
Yeah, try harder. Come back next time.
Yeah.
Sucker. Um, no, I don't know if it's too many.
It seems like a lot of duplicates.
I think it's too many. but it's because I'm in the same boat as you, and it's too many.
If you didn't have duplicates, maybe not too
But I
many.
also have duplicates because mine would be like 3 Colts, two
Hey, you're the
Starions.
Colt guy. You want another one? You're like, sure.
You're the Starion guy. You want another one? Sure.
Um,
So
it,
I don't think it's too many. Most importantly, happy birthday.
happy birthday.
Thank you for joining in on that because that was very important. Yeti Overland is a regular listener. We need to make sure we treat him right. Keep him around for a while.
Yeah.
Papa Rav says yes, which also is because that's his sticker design. So you're welcome. And the final question of the evening, unless more have come through since we started, but I don't think they have.
No.
You could say injection killed
This is
carbs.
from the Gearhead Project.
I said that, didn't I?
No.
Oh. The Gearhead Project. The podcast in which Andrew forgot.
Yes.
Sorry, Brian. You could say injection killed carbs. But we still have carbs. How might carb guys back in the day take advantage of the new tech and market? What might that teach us about the self-driving electric future before us? Like it or not, it's coming. We can bitch and moan. I do, don't worry. Or we can capitalize as longtime gearheads with access to more automotive knowledge than any generation in history. Thoughts?
Well, it did kill carbs.
Carbs for life, bruh.
It did kill carbs in production cars.
Carb life on my belly.
Um, we don't see them in cars anymore.
No.
Uh,
But you still see them on lawnmowers.
yeah,
So,
small engines.
hey, it's still a functional design.
But as
I drove here tonight in a carbureted vehicle.
yeah, because it's old.
Yeah, but it's still functioning in 2019.
Yeah. But if you could throw a 2-barrel fuel injection on there,
2-barrel fuel injection?
yeah, throttle body,
Okay.
it's a 2-barrel carb, right?
Essentially, yeah.
So
I
like a
guess.
version of that, that's a throttle body with injection on it,
They
that like a
kinda-
bolt-on,
they
like a
kinda
Holly
make
or
that-
something.
They kind of make that now. There's a few different brands out there that do it.
So that's the thing. That didn't exist in the early days of fuel injection from OEMs, but now it's super, super easy to take an old carbureted car
And convert it.
and convert it to fuel injection.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a car that you want to drive a lot and it doesn't need to be perfectly 100% stock,
It does a lot for the drivability, for
I'd
sure.
throw one of these kits on it. Absolutely. Just like converting it to digital ignition from points.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about how might have carb guys back in the day taken advantage of the new tech and market. So I guess the answer to that would be they would have found a way to adapt it to their carbureted vehicles sooner,
Yes.
to adapt the new technology. to the
Instead
car.
of
But
poo-pooing it, they should have embraced it sooner, which I think is the thing with electric cars. I would like to see more electric conversions. I would like to play with an electric conversion of the car.
I'm cringing now.
I would very much
I think I'm too grumpy.
I'd very much drive an electric car or a hybrid car.
Hmm.
If there were easy ways to do it, it's very, very expensive to do it
Yeah.
on your own. Hopefully,
Much like converting a carb car to fuel injection was in '83.
yeah,
Very expensive.
And I think we're just not there. Eventually, I guess at SEMA this year there were some
There's some
conversion kits.
every year.
Like it's
GM's offering one for the new Camaro now.
it's gonna get cheaper
Or maybe not offering it, but they teased it at SEMA.
and cheaper, and once it's available and cheaper to put into private vehicles, try to jump on it. That's really the only limiting factor is cost, right? You
Yeah.
could do this,
I mean, I
but
guess
you'd spend a lot of money.
if I was looking to make a car that just commuted back and forth to work, maybe I would convert an old car so I'd still have the old car looks and driving,
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Dynamics.
That'd be awesome.
but not use fuel.
Yeah, but think about
Maybe.
it. You
Maybe.
have like a 10-mile commute right now.
I do. I have like a 0.7 mile
Okay.
commute.
Exactly. So if you could take an old,
0.7.
you could take an old Colt and put an electric motor in it, it could be charged up for a whole week.
Yeah, it would be.
It would always start.
Yeah.
It would always run. You'd never have to do anything to maintain it,
Yeah.
and it would look and basically drive like your old Colt. It wouldn't really drive that
I was
much
gonna say,
different.
the looks of the Colts aren't what I'm into them for. So
Yeah, but it wouldn't. I thought you liked the way they look.
I,
But
I do, but I was actually thinking the brown Colt. when
But
I'm
it
talking
really
about
wouldn't drive that much different. So why wouldn't you do
it.
that?
It would drive a lot different because it would be automatic.
You can still have them with a clutch. You could pretend to shift gears,
Wouldn't be pretending. You would be.
but it
Because
can
it'd still
also
be a
start in
transmission.
any gear, and you could shift gears if you really want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as like a commuter car, like why not? I don't,
Fine.
I don't see any downsides to this. The only downside is the cost. Once,
The downside is you lose the charm.
not really.
Yeah, really.
No, you lose like a bunch of the annoying stuff. It still looks cool. It's still not gonna. It's not gonna make it drive that much different. It really isn't.
So I would never do this to a car that I owned one of.
No.
If I had two Colts, maybe I do it to one of them.
Well, you do.
Maybe I do it to one of them.
No. I think it'd be pretty cool.
Big, maybe. I don't know. I just I'm too grumpy about it. I can't do it. I like the sound. I like the smell. I like the feeling. I like everything about the internal combustion engine in my car. I'm not against new electric cars. Don't take it that way. I would totally drive an e-Golf or a 500e or whatever,
They look boring.
but I would drive one as a commuter. I totally into it. Totally fine. No issue with it. I can't get on the converting old cars to electric. Don't
I
like it.
guess not.
It's just me. It's a personal opinion.
So
That's,
there's your answer to your question right there, Brian. So
let me turn it around. I'm not against it as a rule. I just don't want it. If you want it, cool. Good on you. I don't want it. How's that sound?
I want an electric hybrid car. If I can drop a electric hybrid drivetrain into something,
Okay, so can I keep my standard original engine and driveline and run like electric power to the wheels for the highway?
yeah, or like up to like a certain mile an hour, like optionally. Like if you're in traffic, you can just flip it to. Think about it this way: how awesome would it be to have a hybrid electric power in your old car,
Hmm.
so that it works up to like 50 miles an hour or whatever. It can work up to like 60 miles an hour for like. Hopefully the technology gets better. So let's say 100 miles.
Okay,
So you get stuck in traffic, right? You can shut your
engine off.
gasoline engine off so the car doesn't overheat,
Yep.
and you can just run and stop and go traffic on electric power. You don't have to push the clutch in. All you have to do is step on the brake and step on the gas, and the car will just move.
Okay, I'm more into this idea now.
That would be awesome, right?
So we keep the original driveline for general
If you could,
purposes.
okay, all right, there we go. We're on it. So if someone can come up with a way to adapt electric assist motors
The wheels.
to wheels on older vehicles
Yep.
and make this packaging work,
Yep.
I think that's a viable thing. And I bet people are working on it. But that would be super slick and super cool.
All right, I'm not 100% against it. It also sounds, what I like about this idea is it sounds like something that's reversible.
Yeah, yeah,
So as battery technology gets better, you can have smaller battery packs, smaller engines, and less, so you got like a bolt-on hub conversion,
yeah.
almost.
Either a bolt-on hub conversion, or it would be some sort of conversion that would go in the back of the transmission, so that you could
Spins the drive shaft.
spin the drive shaft
Okay,
to the drive wheels somehow
some way.
on a rear-wheel drive car.
We gotta. Oh yeah, yeah.
It would probably. It could be something that could be created, and I bet that would be very, very cool.
I'm liking where you're going with this. Maybe you shouldn't have just given the idea out to the world.
But that would
I like it
be
like the opposite of like Isuzu trucks have a brake on the drive shaft. Be the opposite of a brake on the drive shaft.
yeah. But that's the whole point. Is that when you're sitting and idling, because you're getting zero fuel economy,
Right.
and you're just creating heat, and the car could overheat and just run crappy, you might as well be on electric power.
Okay.
And when it's running electric like that, it can run air conditioning. So you can be sitting in your air conditioned old car, making no noise,
Let's make it move first.
and stop and go traffic.
Let's make it move first.
It's easy once you're running off power like that. So, all right, that's my innovation right there. I'm the
All right.
idea guy. There you go.
We'll go with it.
All right, that wraps it up.
I think it does.
You can find us on Facebook, Auto Off Topic Podcast, on Instagram, Auto Off Topic. You can find me on Instagram at Race and Anger. Go listen to the Gearhead Project because we forgot about them and they're partners with us.
I didn't forget about them.
Where can they find you?
TSISS350 on Instagram.
All right. As always, keep cars analog or electric hybrid A Name for the Roses.
Don't see. No, it's anti the podcast. You can't do it.